This is Chronicle on WCVB Channel 5.
John Christian, Harvard grad, turned bank robber.
He robbed 21 banks before getting caught by the FBI.
After 8.5 years in prison, he came out with a mission.
I decided I wanted to do this work probably within a month after going into prison.
The work? Keeping ex-cons on the straight and narrow, with training.
They are certified in Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint.
Chronicle. Good evening. In 1978, John Christian was a Harvard grad eager to make a killing in real estate. 20 years later, he was an ex-con starting life all over again.
Today, says Ted Reinstein, he's a CEO using what he learned in prison to keep other young offenders out.
We're already ready to go.
Every year, they come back out onto the streets by the thousands. And though they may leave prison, it never leaves them.
I dream a lot, and I remember most of my dreams. Most nights, I'm somewhere, even if it's a luxury hotel, that I can't get out of. We have to be talking to the employers and some of the people in some of the trade unions.
Today, John Christian is President and Chief Executive Officer of Modern Assistance Programs.
We provide substance abuse and mental health services. A lot of the building trades, other businesses, private industries.
He's come a long way since he stepped out of federal prison in New Jersey in August of 1999. A convicted bank robber, he served 8.5 years behind bars. On the morning of his release, he was given some lunch money and a bus ticket for Boston.
I didn't even look back over my shoulder for a second. I wanted to get out.
Like all ex-convicts, he was starting over with virtually nothing to his name but a criminal record.
Gina, you're aware that we figured out the card issue.
But unlike most ex-cons, he's managed to stay out of jail. Nationwide, 3 out of 4 men leaving prison today will be back behind bars within 5 years.
So in Massachusetts, 97% of the people who get incarcerated get released one day. 97%. So we have people coming back to our communities. If we don't help facilitate change, it's very short-sighted.
John Christian did have one thing most ex-cons don't, an economics degree from Harvard. More on how this Ivy Leaguer graduated to gun-toting bank robber in a bit. What's more important to him these days, he's worked his way back into prison.
Our clients come to us with the expectation of confidentiality.
Every Wednesday night, Christian teaches the finer points of addictions counseling at the Boston Pre-Release Center, a minimum security correctional facility in Roslindale. His students, a select group of inmates enrolled in an innovative new state program, the School of Reentry.
I have young men here who are not going back to jail. I'm convinced of it.
Ben Thompson designed the School of Reentry. He says one of the few proven antidotes to recidivism is education. Here, inmates are immersed in college-level coursework taught by instructors from Roxbury Community College and UMass Boston.
You're in a tough, that's why we talk about these ethical situations.
After his release from prison, John Christian went back to Harvard for a graduate degree. Now, he's a part-time teacher at UMass Boston and an occasional course assistant at the Kennedy School.
Brilliant people from all over the world. And as wonderful as they are, I love going in there and these guys at the pre-release because the level of enthusiasm and gratitude is so refreshing. For them, they see that this work can potentially lead to a huge change. This is tough.
More on Christian and the School of Reentry a bit later.
For John Christian, the fall began with cocaine, and his story is coming up next.
Undergraduate and graduate degrees from Harvard University. He also graduated, as we said, from another very different institution, federal prison.
And what he learned along the way gives him insight and credibility when he goes back into prison.
All right, gentlemen, homework.
When John Christian teaches addiction counseling to inmates at the School of Reentry at the Boston Pre-Release Center, it's not just his multiple degrees from Harvard that command attention.
When he opened up towards us, kind of was like, all right, he's one of us.
See, Christian spent 8.5 years in a federal penitentiary for armed bank robbery. It was the culmination of a dizzying rise and fall for this son of working-class Quincy. A standout student-athlete, Christian graduated from Harvard in 1978, just in time to catch a wild real estate boom. His ascent a crazy mix of ambition, smarts, and cocaine.
I remember the first time I did it, it was wow, this is the greatest feeling in the world.
Eventually, the market crashed, and so did Christian. By then, a full-blown addict, he lost everything. He needed money, and money was in banks. Over the next year, he robbed 21 banks before getting caught by the FBI. His sentence, 9 years, 9 months in a federal penitentiary.
I decided I wanted to do this work probably within a month after going into prison. Dinner.
Christian's commitment to recovery started in prison and carries on to this day. In addition to teaching addiction counseling at UMass Boston, he runs a large employee assistance program in Quincy.
We serve about 80,000 covered lives in Massachusetts and some of the neighboring states.
He also keeps his hand in the criminal justice system, helping ex-cons adjust to the outside.
Justin, what's up? How you doing?
Justin Holmes of Cambridge was a lifer, convicted of second-degree murder as a teenager.
I did 18 years, 2 months and 11 days.
Getting out has been no walk in the park for Holmes. He's finally found a union job, but it took years for him to find steady work. His record, a toxic legacy that followed him like a shadow.
It's very frustrating, but I try to see myself as a realist. I can understand, employers' misgivings about want to hire a convicted murderer. So I try not to take it personally.
But they're not part of homeless services anymore.
Christian has helped Holmes keep his head straight. After all, a number of years ago, he successfully challenged state Corey laws that barred ex-felons from working in state-funded agencies.
I've always made the argument, I robbed banks. What does that have to do with being a substance abuse counselor? If you want to tell me I can't be a bank teller, I understand that. Why can't I be a substance abuse counselor? Yeah, there's this thing called catharsis.
His victory in the courts cleared the way for him to be here today, teaching inmates.
Watching how much they absorb the learning, the enthusiasm for something that just might help them not come back to prison. I love to go in there. It's invigorating, it's refreshing. We're doing something different there.
The School of Reentry immerses a small cohort of prisoners in a dorm-like atmosphere. They have their own wing, creating a community of learners.
I have high hopes for it, okay? When I went and visited, I came out of it more excited than I was going in.
Governor Baker's on board. He sees the immersive community created at the School of Reentry as key to its success.
You know, there's an old expression that if you want to run fast, run by yourself. If you want to run far, run together.
There's some days where I wake up and I'm attending class from 8 in the morning till 8 at night.
For Mac Willou of Pittsfield, a 3-year sentence for selling drugs is ending on a high note.
We'd just like to thank Charlie Baker for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This is a real game changer. It's going to send our life in the right direction. I would have never think I was going to be able to go to college when I was in the street. So now that I'm in college and I'm doing Roxbury Community College, UMass, it's mind-blowing, really.
Antonio Dos Santos, another drug offender, is thinking of his kids back in Brockton.
Trying to better myself for them so like that they can see, even though I did wrong in life, everybody can have a second chance.
Ben Thompson oversees the school and knows firsthand how learning can turn a life around. Like John Christian, he's an ex-con who went on to Harvard.
You're taking an inmate who a year ago we said, this is a mouse, this is a laptop. And today, they have certified in Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and they're going to be paid instructors in their community with college credits, getting paid. That's what this is about. It's a life changer.
Amazing. And each inmate in the School of Reentry gets their own computer. It's connected to various educational portals, but they can't connect to the internet, which makes sense.
Private-public partnership to make it work. The governor's hoping it will keep those prisoners from going back to prison afterwards because that costs about $50,000 per year per prisoner.
Up next, call it the Whole Foods effect.
A sense of gratitude and purpose.
I've always looked at this, and I continue to look at this, as a chance for redemption. I had a great opportunity. I came from a great family. I had a great education. And for me to have gone that far off the tracks and end up robbing banks and go to prison, I look at men and women who have none of those opportunities. As far as I'm concerned, this is my chance to give back, just for the fact that I've been able to live through what I've lived through and come out to the other side.
Amazing story. Massachusetts actually boasts one of the lowest recidivism rates of any state in the country.
Still, the U.S. imprisons more people than any other country, so some critics say that's like saying we're the best of the worst.
And that is Chronicle for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Anthony Everett.
I'm JC Monahan. Have a great night and a great weekend. We're back here on Monday.